Challenger today and tomorrow, and then on Thursday we're going to be doing the group drawing for Premier League live. So you guys are definitely going to want to tune in for that. It's going to be very cool, very fun. Yeah. Also want to encourage you guys to send us some tweets. I want you to tweet to me and to Andre and at StarCraft your predictions for today. You've seen the match sheet. If you don't remember what it is, you can go check it out on Liquipedia. Give us your prediction for winners and match scores. I've got some Steam games I'm going to be giving away to people that predict correctly. I'm going to give away a copy of Starbound, 2 copies of Starbound, a couple copies of Magicka, and a couple copies of Castle Crashers. Just, you know, some fun Steam games.
Love Castle Crashers.
If you want to get in on that action, just tweet at us your predictions for the matches today, and the winners I'll get in touch with at the end of the broadcast, and we'll get them all hooked up. Game number 2 between QXC and Select is live right now, so we're going to go ahead and hop straight into game where we can see spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Altrazim's Stronghold, a map that I'm quickly learning to hate. It is Select with a very fast gas.
He knows. Fast gas. Best gas.
His opponent, bottom left-hand side of the map, the Red Terran player, who's also getting a relatively quick gas.
Could be faster.
Complexity
It's all
QXC.
about those gas timings, Ben.
Okay. Never forget.
Never forget. I want to remind you guys, $600 has already been awarded to both these players. They're right now playing for a spot in Premier League and an additional $1,400.
$2K just for making it into the Premier League.
Ben, what would you do with $2K?
Well, the honest answer is I would probably pay some bills.
Mm-hmm.
The more honest answer is that I would probably gamble it away foolishly.
I know. I said, well, I live in Vegas now, so, I mean, if I had an extra $2K lying around, it's like, well, there's my bankroll. Let's run it up, you know?
Oh,
no
man.
big deal.
I wish that my bankroll ran up, but unfortunately, that's not the way it goes.
Yeah, we need to talk about your gambling habits.
My bankroll runs down.
It's because you're so loosey-goosey with your stuff.
I just
with your hands, everything.
It's not that I don't know how to play necessarily. Like, I know enough about the games to get myself in trouble, is what I like to say. It's that I don't really have a system that I adhere to. Like, I just...
it's your discipline.
Good,
right?
Good gamblers, or maybe we shouldn't even use the term gamblers, but people that like to play, and the ones that have success with it, have systems that they adhere to. They understand what it means to run hot. They understand what it means to run cold. They know what it means to get up and walk away.
They understand variance. That's the most basic level.
They know.
I mean, variance exists in StarCraft too, right?
They know that if you're betting $10 at a time, not to have a couple of drinks and then go YOLO. Let's bet $300 on this one hand.
My favorite story of Ben in Vegas is, okay, I'm gonna sit down with $20, and I'm gonna go to the blackjack table, and if I win, I put all my winnings on the $20.
We're gonna let it ride,
and we're just gonna let it ride 7 times.
I won 5 times.
And what did you walk away with, Ben?
0, because I lost on the 6th time.
Yep. And what would you have won if you just stopped at the 5th?
I would have been, what was I, 500 at that point? Does it get to that? 20, 40, 80, 160, 320. I was at 320, I think.
Yeah. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. Could have been any of those. Double Reaper coming in. Coming in hot.
Coming in hot. Double Reaper is going to pick off a couple of SCVs, and Select is dangerously unprepared for this. He's got no units out on the map. First 2 Marines have only now spawned. He's going to lose a lot of SCVs in the meantime. Already 3 workers have gone down, and we're going to see a couple more. This is a great aggressive opening here from QXC, and these Reapers are going to be microed forever.
This makes so much sense too, Ben. Think of the build, think of the map. It makes so much sense to go cloaked Banshees on this map because it's a 4-player map. You're not really used to aggression. You're going to be a little bit more greedy too. So getting 2 Reapers super fast, going Reactor, double Reapers, it's able to pick off a lot of builds that are being super greedy.
What a supremely good opening for QXC, who is managed to knock Select down to just 16 workers. Oh my goodness, terrible spot to be in if you're QXC, or excuse me, if you're Select. And let's not forget QXC's phenomenal scout, saw the starport, saw the researching tech lab, knows that cloaked Banshees are on the way, and is rapidly preparing for that. We see that first Viking on the way. He's got no engineering base, so he's going to have to rely on scans for his detection, but because he saw everything, he's not dropping mules. He's saving that energy, and he will have at least 2 scans for this first Banshee.
It's a complete hard counter. He knows his opponent is not investing into anything else but the Banshee and then the expansion. So he knows I have the economic advantage. I could be a little bit cost inefficient here, and I'm still going to be great. Banshee's going to come on in, and it should be parried pretty easily here.
One SCV is going to go down immediately. Viking shows up, and again, QXC does have energy to scan. He just wants to be certain that that Banshee is going to go down when he does. For now, he's content to have just lost a single SCV.
Yep.
And with a Raven fast approaching, it's just started in that starport. He will have basically permanent detection.
Not too happy about, or shouldn't say happy, not too keen on the Raven. I think turrets would have been much, much stronger in this position because your whole economy is based on having a lot of minerals. So yeah, you're going to be spending a little bit on turrets here and there, but this map is such a drop-heavy map as it is, or error-heavy map, right, as you go into the mid-game, so you're still going to get value out of it as you go on into the mid-game. I think turrets would have been a much better decision, but I understand his thought process. QXC is saying, I have a lot to cover.
Yeah, and you know what? QXC's in great shape regardless. 36 Harvesters to 24.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
Select is miles behind. His command center is only now completing and turning into an orbital, so it is going to be a while still before Select is anywhere near QXC economically. This is shaping up excellently for our native Californian.
That's right. Now, I'd say the majority of the times QXC is going to throw down that third command center after he's stabilized completely. I don't know if what he's going to do right now, but probably 70% of the time he's going to throw down that third command center rather than rallying a ton of units. The question is, how is Select going to really react to that? Because there's a lot of things he can do to be super, super abusive. He can go for double command center. I know that sounds crazy because 4 command centers are really, really awkward, but to catch up, these are the type of things that you have to do. He's not going to go for 2 base pressure, or he shouldn't, because he should know he's behind. He needs to be a little bit more, well, greedy.
No, this poor Marine. Blasted to bits.
It would have stayed alive if it was on a Scantipede. The extra 10 hit points actually doesn't do much, but...
you know, there's an old saying, speaking to your previous point about how Select needs to catch up, an old saying from the Brood War days, if I recall correctly, about what to do when you're behind. And what I have heard said is that the proper answer when you find yourself in these situations is to overexpand while harassing. Because when you are behind, if you just play normal, you're not really doing anything to better your position, and you're at the mercy of your opponent. So you need to take some risks by over-expanding, and the way that you protect those expansions is behind your harassment, because if you're harassing, well, the other guy is defending, and he's not attacking you, at least in theory.
Very few people can just play standard and then win from there. Flash, I would say Jaedong, people like that are of the extreme outliers that can just say, yeah, I'll just go standard and
I love this.
Outplay my opponents, right?
Select in there with the Cloaked Banshee. I thought for a second he was going to get a chance to pick off a siege tank or two, but...
no way, Jose. No way, Jose, Ben. No siege tank for him. This will get parried pretty easily. Income tab showing 51 to 40, so QXC still on top of everything. We still don't have any sort of... No, there it is. Third command center is popping up here for both players. I'm actually surprised how late it is for QXC, but he's really, really making sure that his tech is absolutely 100%. Things are fine right here.
Yep, sorry about that. We just realized we had some Hearthstone music in the background, so I think I've solved that.
So?
And we should be good now.
What's wrong with that?
It's very soothing and chill, but apparently somebody was not too keen on the Hearthstone tunes in the background.
Can't have enough Hearthstone tunes. Let's be honest. Let's be real.
QXC is setting up to attempt his first drop, but that's going to be met by a Viking of Select, and for now it will be repelled.
Yeah, it's good.
Yep, it's good.
So, what is the game plan for both these players? I think Select is in a position where he does need to play defensive. Even he hasn't really been greedy with anything. You can't really look at the upgrades. You can't look at the expansions, anything really, and say, yeah, you have a big advantage anywhere. He knows he's behind from the beginning stages. The 2 Reapers, the Banshee's not doing a lot, and him seeing the expansion timings. So I think he's at a point where he's only going to be looking to harass. And what QXC is looking to do is stabilize his entire build, or stabilize his entire base, and then finally push out and really assert himself on the map. He just cannot lose to any harass, and he should know that the only thing Select can really do is harass.
QXC is sending a drop into the back of what is essentially Select's natural expansion, and there is nothing here, Andre. He's got no vision of it. His sensor tower doesn't cover this drop path. There's no units back here. We are definitely going to see some SCVs fall. Now, the question is how many and how quickly is Select going to react to this? Perhaps that scan might be giving it away. Looks like no. In fact, Select a little bit slow to respond. QXC is going to rip apart several SCVs, and now this command center is at risk of going down. How far out of position is the army of Select? I don't think it's going to get there in time. The command center goes down. A great pickoff for QXC. And he gets out of there with most of his Marines. 10 Marines surviving, and that drop lives to harass another day.
Beautifully done. I mean, you can't really say much more. I mean, that's the perfect type of harass that you need to do. Those openings exist because Select has been so far behind. Select is saying, I need to really defend in the front. Although you could make a case that he doesn't have to because he has the sensor tower #1 and the 3 little positional spotters out on the map. You could see them in the mini-map. Those little spotters tells him if any pushes are coming in, although they need to be a little bit farther out. He could have defended against that, but still, I mean, QXC is just so far ahead in this game because of the start. It's a really, really intelligent way to play this and punishes very abusive starts.
Select going to try to counter drop, whilst QXC is setting out for his first major attack of the game. Select frantically trying to position himself to prepare for this. Here comes that counter drop, and it's going to be running into not enough units, Andre, so this is going to do a little bit of damage. And how quickly is QXC going to respond to this? And how effectively is QXC going to respond to this, as he's already lost a medevac, quite a few Marines. The siege tank is now going to go down. A second tank may very well fall. But the Viking is there, and it picks off the medevac with the full Marine load inside.
Pretty clutch, man.
It turns out to be a fairly even exchange.
There is a drop going on in the natural, I would say, of Select, though, again, or not a drop, but auto turrets. Still just being annoying, right? This is the type of stuff that you want to be doing if you are QXC. Just keep the pressure on, make it very inconvenient for your opponent to really get back into the game, continue the advantage, and even expand. And he should be in a case where he's adding on additional factories, he's adding on additional Ravens, and he's just going to be going for this really, really tough push that what can really Select do? He doesn't have the gas to really keep up.
QXC is playing really fast right now. He's spiking up well over 300 APM. As we're seeing him make the most of those actions, harassing while attacking, and of course while defending. Select's 3-man drop is still alive, and it is actually going to successfully cancel the construction of this command center.
Can't hate it, man. It still works out.
So he's doing a little bit of work. If he would kill that SCV at least.
QXC is loading up, though, for a huge Doom drop.
It's going to get scanned, and is Select in position to deal with it? Only turrets, and there's only one that's been completed.
Goodness.
And once again, massive damage should be dealt.
Well, QXC didn't unload everything.
The
That's
army
actually
of
hurting him
Select
quite a
also
bit.
wasn't that far out of position. These siege tanks doing tons of damage, though, and Select didn't bring enough back to clean it up. And so once more, this command center is forced to lift. Once more, it is a risk for going down, but it should not die this time.
Unfortunately, that was Select's best-case scenario as well. I mean, QXC didn't unload everything. Dropships were getting killed, and he was funneled pretty badly. But here we go. Select will be able to clean all of this up. And
the supply is really telling a story here. 180 supply against just 100. Resources lost. Identical. 78-75 to 78-75. The issue here is that QXC did his damage early and has been riding that advantage all game long. And Select, who's done a fantastic job of kind of reaching the mid-game, has never really found true stability.
And QXC is just going to continue pressing up on his opponent and ultimately going to be winning this second game here.
You know, these are two players who I think on paper are so similar. They're both great with their multitasking. They're both great with their micro. I don't know, man. They both feel like they have sort of similar stories, living in California, being loved by their North American, I guess, fan base.
Yep.
As we see QXC once more attacking into that tank line. This time Select's going to push it back with relative ease.
It's also interesting to see, like, they both started as hyper-aggressive, almost over-aggressive players back in the beginning. That Scantipede is everywhere.
As QXC right now working on a nice hard contain outside the third expansion of Select. Select's got a lot of units here, and looks like he is going to push out, but QXC is maxed, Andre.
200 supply to 127. I mean, if you look at the income, it's 75 harvesters to 64.
It's just a tough spot. QXC can afford to be a little bit sloppy as we see him losing a couple of Marines. He's also going to lose a siege tank. But excellent concave, excellent unit positioning means that he will safely maintain that contain for the time being.
This little Marine trying to kill something in the back corner. Nothing of too much value. It dies to SCVs.
Sad day for him.
It is. But, I mean, he can just continue this contain. The main, you can see, is drying up. He knows the approximate main dry up time because he sees when his main dries up. The natural and the third base should dry up pretty soon here. So QXC knows exactly how to play this out. There's no need to really press on, because it's 22 minutes into the game. What can your opponent really do on one base? You're looking at 4 bases. Life is good if you are QXC.
It's going to be
everywhere.
Big drop heading to the main base
everywhere
of QXC. And Select knows it's there because of his sensor tower, and this time there's no damage that's going to be dealt. QXC luckily gets out of there just in the nick of time. Of course, this medevac flew right over
Ben,
the Raven. Yes?
If he got high-sec auto-tracking, he would have killed that medevac. That's value right there, Ben. That's value.
I don't know if that value justifies it when you barely have enough money to produce units.
Ben, it's value, okay? It's a 100-100 for 100-100 plus all the units inside.
Man,
value.
QXC's just playing this out brilliantly. He's taken over the whole map. He's got command centers everywhere. And again, still the hard contain right outside the third base. So Select might have found an angle, though.
Yeah, this actually works out really well. If Select is able to bust out of here, I mean, the supplies are closing up more and more and more. And also, I want to stress where QXC is taking his advantage. He's just saying, let me add on more barracks, and that way my resupply is going to be great. But if he has one bad engagement, it could snowball, and there's a big counterattack. I mean, this map, it is pretty far away, but you can still get to from third to third pretty fast here. So there can be a situation where Select still wins this if he's able to get a great engagement. We're going to find out pretty soon here.
Oh, Select actually taking a little bit too much damage as QXC of Drop managed to find one of his new expansions. Those medevacs are not going to be shot down, but they are going to be doomed to hover here in no man's land.
1 Viking, Ben.
Look.
Actually, 2 Vikings.
This map's got all the cool stuff. Space Shark.
Doesn't mess around. Scantipedes and Space Sharks. All right.
I was too hasty in my dislike of this map. Select going to go ahead and float his main over, knowing that he needs to secure another base. But, man, it's just not a good situation. Select's going to manage to max out, though, Andre, and that means he's got a chance. Like you were saying, a single bad engagement could snowball. If he can win if he can get like a crushing victory and clean up a lot of the army of QXC. Oh, this could be the beginnings of just that. Shoots down 1 medevac. Oh, another medevac's going to get shot down, and a third medevac is going to get shot down, and just like that, we see 5 tanks and 17 Marines worth of supply just obliterated, and this might be the time. If Select were to roll out right now.
He should. He knows that's a 40 supply advantage. He should push out 100% of the time here. Just get a good concave and go for it, but he needs to unsiege his tanks, of course.
You cannot wait too long. Of course, at the same time, this is really difficult to push into. It's a lot of tanks.
Or he can even go for the third base. You know that 40 supply is missing from the army no matter what. So it's either back at home or it's going to be right here.
QXC is actually going to be the one to aggress, finding an opening, picking off a tank, and then darting back. And this, if Select was unsure of his willingness to commit, now he's definitely not going to, as QXC has popped him in the nose once more.
Select is holding on really well, though.
He sure is. And not only has he managed to max out, he's also managed to build up a considerable bank. Now he's going to push.
Brilliant. Brilliantly done. Cutting off the supply, making it very, very hard. He could at any time converge on this.
From the high ground, he could kill a tank and some Marines if he wanted to. Instead, he's going to go ahead and attack.
I think this is the correct decision. You want to scan first, though, Select. Scan, Select.
This is mission accomplished. QXC unsieging and heading back, not willing to risk losing bases. I think it's almost inevitable that he's going to lose 1 base, though.
This is the perfect example of undermining your contain. Just being able to put pressure outside, force the contain back, and then you can take some space. He fought a lot just to get space. Now he needs to fight for map control. And it still is a little bit difficult. We're going to find out if he can shut down this PF. It'll be so important.
3-3 Marines. They're going to make short work of the SCVs. Planetary taking massive damage, and it is going to go down. And just like that, Select is back in this thing, and suddenly QXE, in spite of all of his bank, it has a slightly larger army, but just barely. And doesn't have the same kind of income. He might even lose another expansion here, Andre, as Select is going to continue his onslaught. Definitely going to pick up a barracks and a factory. Will he kill that PF?
Siege tanks. Siege tanks.
No, Select's not looking.
Yeah, very unfortunate. And I love this. Select is actually moving back and forth with his main army, stopping the attacks at every single turn that QXE is trying to put out. And this is a really great example of how to apply pressure and also defend against all your bases. You're constantly scanning out, making sure that you're in position to defend against any of these shenanigans. And look, QXE doesn't even have that big of a force, but if it's in the right position...
Found an angle, and Select forced to lift that command center. It's a pretty intelligent liftoff.
Yes, absolutely. I love this. Realizing this base is pretty much dead already, so no need to try to fight for this position. Just give it up. Look for greener pastures and know that you already took out a base.
He could probably surround and kill that army. It looks like he's got much more in the way of fighting strength here than QXC does. At the same time, Select's still active with this drop in the top half of the map, and there's only 2 tanks defending this planetary.
It might be enough, though.
Where's the main army
he's
of
coming
QXC?
for it.
It's moving through the middle of the map.
He's going for that 4th base. It gets cleaned up pretty easily here. And he's just going to go for the natural or the third.
This is in range of the sensor towers of Select. So here we go. QXC, what you going to do about this? He's going to drop on top of some siege tanks. And this attack is... it's going to gain him some ground, but I don't know that it was that effective just yet. Marines all dying. Tanks, of course, still alive. Whoops.
Drop at the 3rd base, though, is doing a little bit of damage here of QXC. Able to obviously clean up the supply line and at the same time kill a couple of reactors here.
In action all around the map right now. Select finding opportunities for damage. They'll pick off some barracks. They'll kill some of these reinforcing Marines. And this is perhaps mission accomplished. At the same time, these tanks still doing work, denying a lot of mining from Select's 4th expansion. Finally, Select's drop's going to get cleaned up. But QXC, once again, has the pincer contained. It's 199 supply against 160. Select's kind of stopped macroing a little bit. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Likes to focus on his army movement and his micro, and sometimes it costs him in terms of his macro. I think Select's probably going to be forced to lift this CC here.
Yes, he is. Or he's going to just repair it vehemently. Still, this is a very difficult situation for Select. Obviously, this is his last full mining base, so he needed to defend this at all costs. But it looks like just the constant push of QXC is going to be enough to get this opportunity to really win out here. But again, we have another counterattack. Remember, this gets parried pretty easily. Nice little siege up here, but it's not going to
be the death of these tanks. Select will stem forward with what units he has in position, but does not look like it's going to be enough. Still, we see, though, the army of Select moving out of the map. He wants to deny this command center. Or does he? As these Marines a little bit indecisive in their movement. They're going to try to close in on this position. Tanks are on siege, and this could be the opportunity Select needs. This is a massive ball of Marines, and if he gets on top of those siege tanks, they will all go down. And so Select strikes deep into the territory of QXC, and now QXC is going to roll out. He's going to pick off at least 2 command centers here while trying to defend back at home. This command center is lifted, not the end of the world being losing the mining at that base. It's more or less been mined out.
And siege tanks on the high ground, which is so important. Obviously, it stabilizes him, so it's kind of cut. You cannot do any more damage than this. He will lose a siege tank popping out of here pretty soon, but you can see QXC slowly starting to stabilize, and now he's absolutely fine. In the meantime, that contain still exists, and where's that mining base? It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, great work from QXC. He's tightening the noose, and Select is out of places to mine from. He's got no money. If we check the income tab, the proof is in the pudding. 0 income for Dignitas Select, and a little bit remains for QXC. Army supplies also tell a very important tale. 70 more army supply for QXC means that if these 2 guys were to fight, the fighting strength of QXC is substantially more than that of Select.
And I have to feel like Select actually, even though he loses this game overall, I think he actually takes a big win in his book. I mean, he was behind from the start. Just the build orders gave Select such a huge disadvantage. QXC was able to continue that advantage, and honestly, he's continued that advantage all game long. But, you know, Select has shown areas where he might have been able to come back, and I really feel like Select can know going into endgame, it's really, really nice for him. Even though he's losing here, he is in a position where he can keep up. He's keeping up with just the high aggression, high intensity. And maybe if he pushes out of this contain, which is looking very likely now, he will have a little bit more life.
And QXC's not exactly rich. Just because he has income does not mean that he can sustain the army production that he might need to end this game. Select has landed a couple of new command centers, and that means that, at least for the time being, his money is going to spike up pretty substantially. Finally, QXC is going to clean up the army of Select that was out on the map, and that means that he too will gain some new mining.
I think the most critical thing so far is that QXC hasn't really done anything to aggress up on a push, which is pretty natural in TVT. I mean, some people will say battlecruisers, some people will say go for Ravens, but QXC looking to do, I would say, the safer approach, which is not to allow any sort of big push to really affect you. Keep a lot of units on the ground, and from there you can just play this contained game, although it's hard. You can see it right here. Select he's a crafty lad.
Yes, he is, and trying to claw his way back into this thing. QXC, meanwhile, feels like he could end this game if he could just deny some mining, but Select is barely going to hang on to that base. Of course, he did lose this one. And the only thing containing Select right now is siege tanks, so theoretically he could drop on that and bust free. But, man, the mining of QXC has absolutely taken off. He's secured not one, but 2 new expansions and still has money at this planetary that Select was unable to deny earlier.
Very, very, very nice positioning for the planetary fortress in the bottom middle. I really like that.
Yeah, this is a great base to take, taking it on the back of the big push that that denied this spot from Select. It's just almost impossible for Select to kind of get out and assail that position.
And how is Select able to put units out on the map when that planetary fortress is right there, right? Like, he's going to see everything that comes. Yeah, it's a little bit more prone to harass, but yeah, you're in a good position.
One more drop getting cleaned up, but look at the army of QXC rolling across. Here come the reinforcements, and this could be the final fight. One big stem goes down. Siege tanks not even going to siege up. Select trying his damnedest to hang in there, but this time it's not going to happen. Good game gets called, and Complexity's QXC is going to take game number 2. 36 minutes of hard-fought TVT. QXC getting way ahead early on, but it took them a while to close it out.
You said it best, Ben. These players are so evenly matched. I mean, they came up from the same area of focus in terms of how they want to play StarCraft. They've kind of diverged a little bit as, you know, they've progressed in their careers.